Hello, this is my review for Loki Season 2, Episodes 4, 5 and 6. The second half of the Loki Season 2. I'm going to talk about just what I thought the positives were, what were the negatives, what comes to my head, a few things I've written down. I'm going to start by mentioning the box squash crush scene in Loki Season 2, Episode 4, and then you see Hunter B-15. She comes into the room and she sees the horror, what's just happened. That scene was powerful. I thought that scene was it was filmed quite well, and the box was it was kind of beautiful. It was a beautiful box, as in like just the way it was designed, just the way it was like I don't know if I use the word crafted, but the way it was brought to life, the artistic design behind it was quite impressive in my opinion. Used for terrible reasons in the show. I want to talk about Miss Minutes. I know I've mentioned her, but she's great. I think the design, the voice, her mannerisms, so much about Miss Minutes is great. Maybe it's a metaphor on artificial intelligence and what could be around the corner, perhaps. Jonathan Majors is Victor Timely. We see in episode 5, I believe, Loki's getting all the team together. He's trying to get everybody that's worked on everybody that's worked on the project in different capacities. He's trying to bring them all together, and he's still trying to learn how to do time skipping. Oh, excuse me. He's still learning how to do time skipping. And then eventually at the end of the episode he figures out how to control that ability. Oh. We see him basically gets all these people together, and then he sends Victor Timely out the walkway. He disappears, kind of like what happened with Thanos' snap at the end of Infinity War. Sort of similar to that, and then Loki basically figures out how to avoid it. It basically goes back in time, and then this episode we see him having a better grasp on that power, and then he eventually is the one, as I suspected. He walks out after Victor Timely tries to save the situation. He does in a way, but then it then gets revealed that He Who Remains is still alive. He Who Remains is still alive, and then Loki sort of outthinks him and reveals that there's this great moment when he's talking with Kang, and he says, Kang says, so how many times have we had this conversation? Then Loki basically throws it back at him, which I thought was quite nice, and it was something that I thought was believable, and that Loki, to me, is one of those characters who you think always has a plan B. He's always got a plan B, C, D, E, F, G, all the way. He's got all that figured out, and he's in that situation. Even though Jonathan Majors felt like he was in control, Loki had outmaneuvered him. He had an ace up his sleeve. That was brilliant. I thought that was handled well. And then at the end of the season, Owen Wilson he's with his family. Well, he's staring at his family. Sylvie goes off on her own. The TVA is sort of getting back to what you might regard as normal. And Loki is basically He Who Remains now. He's now the guy that's at the end of Loki Season 2, he's the guy that's, in a sense, he has the throne, in a way. So, not quite what you would have expected with Loki if he was up to his old schemes, but he does get what he wants, but I suppose he's maybe a lot more benevolent and merciful now. You might say that, I suppose. I'm trying to... What else was great? I mean, I'm just going to suppose this will be a brief season recap. The guy who played Short Round in Indiana Jones in the Temple of Doom, and he won the Oscar earlier on this year. I probably should know his name by now. He was great as OB. Casey was great. Him playing Frank Morris, the man who escaped from Alcatraz. That was pretty cool. Owen Wilson finding out where he came from. Ravonna Renslayer, where she ends up, I'm not 100% sure. You see her in the middle of a field. She's in the middle of a field with a temp pad that says, "For all time, always." We see Hunter B-15, we see Miss Minutes, as I've already mentioned. You see that things have kind of gotten back to a form of normalcy. A little bit disappointed there was no X-Men reference. I suppose that's what I was kind of hoping out for. I was holding out for a big X-Men reveal of some sort. Didn't happen. What else? I just want to think what else comes to my mind. We see the montage where Loki's trying to get Victor Timely to make it work. There's that few centuries later moment. There's that moment in the screen when it says after. There's the scene between Owen Wilson and Hunter B-15 when they're staring at the three pictures, and Owen Wilson says, "Those who forget history are doomed to repeat it." There's that scene. And I think there's that moment where Loki thinks he's got it all figured out, but then he realises he doesn't. It's not all figured out. He thinks he's got it all understood. But then Kang reveal, as I've already mentioned. He Who Remains. Jonathan Majors plays Victor Timely. He plays He Who Remains. We see him in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania with a few different Kang variants. I'm guessing He Who Remains will be the main guy for some reason. Just a suspicion. Could be wrong, but I feel like that will be the main version of Kang. That was our introduction to Kang in Loki Season 1. We have Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. That Kang, the Kang variants in the after credit scene. And then we have this version of, we have Victor Timely, the original version. And in the end of Loki Season 2, Kang's younger self, Victor Timely, doesn't get the book. So, I don't know. I'm going to say, I'm just intrigued to see where we go. And I think I'm going to end it there because I have a few questions up in the air. I'm just trying to keep it brief. I don't want to make another 15-minute review or anything like that. So I'm going to try to keep it brief and end it there. Thanks for watching.